Hello, my name is David Bailey and I'm one of the instructors here on the NATO social media course. I really do look forward to meeting you online in the not too distant future.
Hi everybody, it's David, and this lesson is about an introduction to digital storytelling, which I think is very, very important. And as we go through this very short lesson, I hope that you'll be able to pick up some tips that will enable you to create compelling content when you use social media to support your operational roles within NATO or even as an individual. I'm not going to concentrate on how to use the tools, video or audio or anything like that. Those are subjects of smaller videos that I'm going to put together and hopefully you'll benefit from. So today, what are we going to be looking at? Well, simply a basic introduction to digital storytelling, what it is and how it's going to be a useful addition for you in the digital battle space or in the digital domain. So everything has got a value exchange, and you know that from previous videos and previous lessons on the course. Everything we do socially has a value exchange. There is something in it for us as human beings. And so today's value exchange for me is that I get to see you create more compelling content and start to create compelling content. You're going to get some great tips, I hope, on creating that content itself. I'm going to use this slide, which is a montage of pictures of Coca-Cola that have been left lying around. And this montage was created by a man, an Irish guy, walking to work in the town of Cork in Southern Ireland. And he was telling a story using images, just pure images. And his digital story with its tweets and associated Facebook update was about how Coca-Cola was littering the countryside. Now this went quite negatively, we thought, against Coca-Cola, but Coca-Cola responded by engaging straight away and having a website presence already dedicated to what it does to support eco topics around the world. And it also managed to regain the initiative by placing tweets and Facebook updates that really blamed the Irish for dropping the litter rather than it having anything to do with Coca-Cola. And the reason I say that, and I'm using this, is because these digital stories do have an impact. And when you see Coca-Cola displayed like this on this particular slide, you would first of all immediately think about, how irresponsible they are. So these images, these videos that are put on to the internet these days are very, very powerful. In some of the lectures that you may have heard me give around the world, I always talk about our arrogance. And I just want you to be aware, once again, about what your target audience can and cannot do. And that there are first world countries with third world technology and a lot of third world countries now with first world technology. So Africa is getting a lot more internet connectivity delivered via satellite, and with the Google project with balloons, very, very high altitude balloons streaming 20 megabit broadband video, to India that has now got that first Mozilla Firefox smartphone. It's not comparable to a Samsung Galaxy or an iPhone, but it is a smartphone nevertheless, and they're selling for $20. And they have some basic apps at the moment, and those apps will grow and grow and grow. The quantity of apps will grow and grow and grow. So people in countries in the backwoods, if you like, of India, where there's hardly any sanitation and that there's poverty, don't forget that they may well have access to smartphone technology, in which case if they can create content, they can consume content. And that is very, very important for you to think about. So what is digital storytelling? Well, as it says, it's the modern expression of the ancient art of storytelling. And I like to use the example of storytelling is what you do when you sit down in a coffee bar. You don't make statements to people. You don't get aggressive with them. You take your time. You engage with them, and by talking to them, you'll try and get your point across. And you normally do it with analogies, with stories, And that has been with us since we were children, with our grandparents and our parents telling us stories, telling us narratives actually about the history of our country, about the history of our family, etc., etc. So, this is the ancient art of storytelling. What we're going to do is we're now going to use digital tools to do the same. And I think when you look back to remembering what your parents or close family or even friends have said, it evokes images in your mind. When you see those images later on, it always brings you back to that particular time, the music, the voice, everything else. So we're going to look at what we can use to colour stories to make them so important. Now, for us, in a military context within NATO, and that's why we're on this social media course, because it's a social media course for NATO, digital storytelling is not a topic report or the reporting of facts and information. Now, I've got a short NATO film here, which I'm going to play you a bit of, and this is not digital storytelling. This is rather traditional television techniques, but placed on YouTube.
When Jordan's Directorate of Military Women's Affairs was established in 1995, headed by Her Royal Highness Princess Aisha Al Hussein, the role of serving women soldiers and their contribution to the nation's defense and security began to be more widely appreciated.
NATO and Jordan shares these objectives. What I see here in Jordan, that Jordan and the Jordanian armed forces is taking a lead to recruit women to the armed forces.
The 10,000 women who today proudly wear the uniform of the Jordanian armed forces to demonstrate their commitment to the nation were trained at the Military Women's Training Facilities, the Center of Excellence. Here, training has a clear mission.
To prepare, qualify and develop the Jordanian military women physically and mentally for the jobs they will be assigned to in the army.
Jordanian servicewomen participate in operational UN missions and are deployed as female engagement teams in ISAF operations in Afghanistan, the NATO-led mission in that country. Jordan's Military Women's 10-year strategy, set out in 2006 to enable gender mainstreaming targets, has brought improved conditions and entitlements for women and expanded their integration within the armed forces. Its aim was to increase non-medical representation from 0.7% to 3%.
What we're trying to do in the project is to help them assist in achieving their own target, which is a very admirable target, certainly when set against, for example, NATO percentages for women in representation in the armed forces.
Well, this is hardly a story. It's more of a statement, and it's a reporting of facts. The whole video, if you want to see it, if you get in touch with Serge, he'll have that and he can let you see the whole thing. But it is over 4.5 minutes long, and that is slightly too long anyway for a digital story. But why would we want to use digital storytelling? Well, it gives this engaging experience in this day and age with people that come to our social networks, that come to our websites, that want to find out about what we are about. And so if we can get some engagement going, if we can give them some compelling content, and if we can get them really, really interested, that's going to help us tremendously. It's going to help you even in your personal life if you use digital stories for a daily vlog, for example. It's all about reaching intimacy, getting that one-to-one, getting people really comfortable and content and confident with you. So what? Well, we can use any digital tools that are available to us to tell a short story, but we do it in the first person. And as you saw from that short clip that I played you, that excerpt from that NATO film, it's all done in the third person. We are telling the story. It's about us. It's about me. It's about you. So we do it in the first person. And we can use lots of content that we may already have uploaded on YouTube, images from Flickr, updates even from Twitter, Facebook statuses. We can use a combination of a variety of social tools, or we can just use a bare few. And it will be up to you to work out how you use your digital tools. Now, like everything else, things work best when there's a bit of method to it, a little bit of logic to it, and when there's a process. I'm not the world's greatest digital storyteller, although I do tell digital stories. I think I've got 758 videos on my YouTube channel, and I have a reasonable amount of comments. So what I've tried to do today is produce a simple process that might work for you. Now, this process is something that will get you going, but what I'm really hoping to achieve here is that you will pick up some of these steps that I'm going to go through and modify them for your own organizational use or for your own personal use. I think there's about 6. Let's see. Here's step 1. First of all, the storyline. You can't just get a smartphone or a small digital camera with video capability and just go and create content blindly. Well, yes, you can if you're doing a daily vlog, but mostly you won't be doing a daily diary for your workplace initially. So think about your target audience, the TA, and it's about their problems. It's not about what you want to tell them specifically. You have to think about their problems and then how you're going to address it. And I'm using problems because I think it's nicer when it's more easy to grip, to get a handle on when you're thinking about a target audience and why would I want to talk to them. And of course, with social networking, you cannot not influence. Whenever you put something on a Facebook status or you do a tweet or whatever you do on social networking in the digital domain, you are trying to get your point across. So think next about what you want to achieve. So what are the problems for the target audience and what do you want to achieve here? And that will give you a storyline. Now the storyline can be made in a number of ways. You can write words down on a piece of paper in a sequence of how you want to do things. If you're rather artistic, you can create storyboards. Next is the script. Now I'm not talking about writing things down word for word, because if you're going to do that, then you are going to use up a lot of time, a lot of unnecessary time that you don't really have, and it's going to come across as quite stilted. And what we want to achieve is, I say, compelling content, engaging content, so it's going to be you umming and erring a bit when you talk, and maybe even having a shaky camera. All these things actually lead to the reality. So first of all, show the people that, or the person that you're making the video for, or this digital story for, that you've understood the problem, their need, or their desire, and how you are going to take action about this. And most importantly, you have to be very careful about the tone that comes across. You want to be friendly, you want to be engaging, you want to empathize with your audience, your viewer. You really want them to feel that you care. So a little bit like what I said before, that was not a digital story from that earlier NATO video. There was no empathy there at all. It's just one-way traffic. So once we've got the script, then we have to think about what are we going to use to illustrate our story. And these are basically images and sound. And photographs, whether they're stills or video, definitely add richness. But please remember to keep a focus on your story. It's very easy to wander off. And I've got 2 examples coming up very, very shortly of what I consider to be the perfect digital story and how a military organization, a mission, is using video and sound to create what I think is one of the best digital stories that I've seen created from a military. But that's still to come. And keep your story and your components simple. And I think most of us in a military sphere will have heard of KISS, keep it simple, stupid. And I don't mean to say anybody that's on the course is stupid, but just keep it simple. Keep those components simple. The next thing we need to do is refine our story. So when we've put it together, and as I said, we'll be going through how to use a smartphone or an iPhone rather, and other devices to take video, how to record audio, and how to do some simple editing using an onboard edit platform. We'll do that later. But while you're doing this, think about your timings of your digital story, the tone, how it's going to sound. And please don't use sound effects and Hollywood themes from blockbuster movies, because you will bring across the wrong feel. And just remember that focus. And I can't go on about that enough. Even when I do my daily vlog, my partner Tamara has to say, we're going off topic, and I've gradually understood, yes, I've got to go back. So I keep asking myself all the time, am I focused? Now the timings. If you go to the NATO channel on YouTube, you find most of the videos there are between 4 and some up to 15 minutes long. And these are far too long to be considered to be digital stories. Digital stories are small bite-sized pieces. So I would say about 2.5 minutes. If you've got a massive topic and you're really interested in it and you feel that you can't put it all into 2.5 minute pieces, then why not consider breaking it down into more? So if you've got something and you say, well, this is so important, this is 10 minutes worth of a video and I could make a 10-minute video out of this, seriously consider breaking it down into 4 smaller stories. Why? Because they're going to be much more, people will be able to consume it a lot easier. And when you're watching, especially on a smartphone, you like small pieces. And also with the engagement, you'll get more viewership because you can say, and the next video will cover, and the next video will cover, and the next video you'll cover. So actually from one 10-minute topic, you've got 4 2.5-minute stories, and people, like we all do, like to know what's coming next. So think about that. The English word pithy, very, very short. Cut it back, so that you don't go more than 2.5 minutes. Once again, there's no strict, rigid timing for this. Now it's time to go live. So when we've created our product, the next thing we need to do, created our story rather, is put it on our social networks. And make sure that when you write the description for your digital story, don't use the same phrase or the same description for Google Plus, and the same on Facebook, and the same on Twitter. Try and change those descriptions which fit the target audience, because the target audiences in Twitter, Facebook and Google Plus are different. It's not the same. Put a link to your story in the signature block of your email, your work email, or your personal email. Believe it or not, that is a very, very powerful way of doing it. And it's so incredibly simple to change links within your signature block. So if you've made one digital story a week, be mindful of putting that link in so people get to see. Because when they see a link, we're all curious. Curiosity killed the cat. Hopefully we're not going to kill any humans here. But we're always curious, and at the moment, we like linking. We like clicking on links. We like to see where things go. So you can put the latest digital story here, you click on it, and you've immediately got viewers. And then if it's compelling, you'll find your audience and people that view it sharing it, commenting on it, and liking it. And if you are running a YouTube channel or a Vimeo channel, people will subscribe to your channel. If it is video, all video should go to YouTube. And why do I say that? Well, YouTube is the second largest search engine. If you tag it up properly, if you put a compelling title to it, people will find it. And remember that your digital story is part of your social media strategy. In fact, I think it's the most impact-winning component of your social media strategy. So let's start to summarize a bit. Why digital storytelling? Well, it inspires action. And in everything that we're doing in social media, there should be a call to action. Follow me, share, like my content, subscribe to my channel. Try and get people involved. You cannot not influence. So your digital story is going to change people's perceptions. It's going to change the way they think. It's going to promote ideas. It could promote causes as well. and it gets your voice heard. And the best way for you to get your voice heard is to do your narration, to do your descriptions in the first person. And more importantly than all of that, it's developing relationships, because social, I don't like to use the word social media so much anymore. I like social sharing, and sharing is about engagement. And a digital story will show that you're human, that you listen, and that you're worth their time to view it. Now, as I said, this short presentation about digital storytelling is to get you interested, to get you some tips that you can actually have the confidence to start creating your own story. The African Mission in Somalia has a consultancy firm working with it to develop their digital strategy, to develop how they use their digital tools. When I used the NATO example earlier on in the presentation, it was about women's empowerment in the Jordanian Armed Forces and how NATO views that. This video is a shorter video, considerably shorter video, made by the African Mission in Somalia, and it's to reflect World Women's Day. So once again, the empowerment of women. I think if you can look back at the video from NATO, as I said, it was very statement-like, it was very direct, and it wasn't told in the first person. Just watch how Amazon uses these techniques that we've just looked at to create a compelling story.
Obviously, when your husband is a soldier and you're a soldier, definitely he knows the kind of work, he has to persevere. I have also to persevere. So we talk, phone, like that.
Anyway, like for us in army, there's always flexibility. For us, we are used to every kind of nature. Wherever you take me, because there's no a permanent situation. Even this one of Somalia, I adopted with when I reached in Somalia, I adopted the culture.
There's no any problem, because what a man can do, I can also do. If a man is jumping, I can jump. If he's climbing, running, I can do it. So there's nothing difficult from being a gunner. It's like playing a game.
My female combatants and those in Uganda, I encourage them to be with confidence. They don't fear like those civilian ladies. If they see a soldier, they fear. But it is easy. You know, the secret of happiness is not to do what you want, but to love what to do. What they were expecting that women cannot do, it's not like that. Women, we are now powerful, we can do everything. Like me, I'm a tanker driver, which was not expected me to be.
It's hard. You have to work 3 or 4 times as hard as a guy to prove that you're actually good. But once you prove that you're actually good, then they're going to respect you. They're going to look at you as, they will never look at you as an equal, because you can never be equal. But at least they'll respect you as a woman who can deliver. So you should not be afraid. Just go out, whatever it is, do your best, do your very best, and you'll make it.
I think that's a perfect example of a military formation using video and telling a digital story. Nice short shots, and the women themselves telling the story in the first person. It's all about engagement. And remember, that's what you're focusing here, is getting people interacting. The only thing missing in that video is a call to action. But I've got another example where there will be a call to action at the end of the video. So the ultimate digital story includes all those vital elements of video, image, text, audio, and links. And if we could put all that together, we'd have a very, very successful piece of content that will attract comment, people want to share it, people want to like it, and because they're keen on your content, they'll subscribe to your channel because they want to have more. So to finish off, here's what I consider to be one of the best digital stories I've ever seen. And you may well have seen it on numerous presentations, but I feel that showing it again is not going to harm what I'm trying to get across to you today. Look at this and then think about how the process, that simple 6-step process I showed you, worked into making this.
What did you do to my sign?
I wrote the same, but in different words.
Thanks, love.
And there you see not only the video, the digital story itself, there is also the reinforcement of who made it and the call to action that if you wanted to be able to change people's worlds with words, that is the company on how to do it. So that's the end of the presentation at the moment. We're going to cross, I do believe, for some questions and answers using Skype. Let's have a lively debate because I'm really thinking of asking Serge to run a small, not competition, but a small practical session where you can make a very simple 2.5-minute digital story, and we can then look at it as a course and analyse it on the forum. As ever, these are the contact details if you want to get in contact with me at any time. Thanks very much indeed for watching the lesson, and let's get some really cool questions and answers through Skype, courtesy of Serge and the mentors on the team.